We are so back. Welcome back to I See You, a podcast that honors the light in people. This is a space for honest conversations, reflections, growth, and healing. Here we talk about the moments that shape us in life, the shifts, the becoming, lessons that live in between the light and the dark, the duality of it all. Whether you're navigating change, rediscovering yourself, or simply learning to see yourself a little bit more clearly these days, I promise you this is the space for you. I'm your host, Toya, and today we're talking about what really happens when the friendship shifts and when the room changes. Stay tuned for episode 2. You don't want to miss what's coming up. So, as I was preparing for episode 2, I knew I had to be in a certain space because these conversations, it can get intense. It can get real when we're talking about friendships and we're talking about the different dynamics, and you've had experiences with different friend groups and just all types of things. So I knew I needed to get in a space so that I can deliver the intended messages in a very neutral, non-biased way, because it's not all about me. I'm also going to speak to my experiences, but also experiences of others that I know. This is not a podcast talking about people's business and pointing the fingers, but we're gonna speak about these things in themes, right? But y'all also got to bear with me because I'm learning my mic angles and learning how to work all this stuff. I got some cue cards today so that your girl can stay on task. So if you see me looking down, it's because I got to get my points, okay? Okay, so I'm feeling this. This is helping me. Okay, but I'm super excited to get into this topic because I think it is so relatable, and it's so many things regarding friendships, especially in the space with women, men too. I know we battle with different things, but I think it's super important to give light to these conversations because sometimes the conversations around friendships and relationships can be so dark, and as we know that there's duality in all of us in all things. So yes, there might be some dark moments and experiences within friendships and relationships, but there's also light and there's love. And one of my goals in life is to lead with love. We're going to talk through when friendship shifts, the impact when the room changes, how it feels, what it looks like, and some positive outcomes and lessons that I have gotten along the way. If you're tuning in on Spotify, Apple Music, I hope that the sound is good. We're working some things out. I think it's getting better. And also make sure you tune in on YouTube the next day. But let's get into it, y'all. If you know, you know. A friendship shifting is nothing new. But what I've grown to learn is that adulthood does magnify them. And I know it, what works when we were little kids, what has worked when we were little kids, what has worked through high school, what has worked through college, is nothing in comparison to what it takes to make friendships work, especially in your adult years. But this is not the first time that we've known that, hey, there are going to be shifts, and I mean major shifts within all of your relationships as you continue to grow and evolve. This episode is all about understanding. It's not going to be about accusation. We're going to talk about growth, identity, and change as it relates to friendships. I'm going to be sharing from experience, but I'll be talking in different themes. This conversation isn't about who's wrong and who's right. It's going to be about what friendship asks of us when we start to grow. And I know we've all felt that feeling when someone who we deem so close to us, who we are like, hey, this is my person, this is my friend. We've all experienced that feeling of knowing something's different, something has shifted, something has changed. And sometimes we're in spaces and seasons where we don't have the words. We don't know what it is. and it might not go addressed, or it is addressed in other ways. There might be some projection that happens, but we know that feeling. And so we're going to navigate what that looks like, what that feels like, and how we can navigate these things differently, because it's going to continue to be magnified as we continue to evolve in our adult friendships. Okay, so first topic. Before we begin to befriend anybody, before we begin to go into relationship with someone, and I think I'm gonna start there because one of the one of the things that me and my best friend we talk about a lot, especially in navigating friendships and our friendship. One of those things is understanding that a friendship is still a type of a relationship. It is not separate from any other relationship that you have, because if you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, you're doing the same things in these relationships. Okay, so sometimes you're going to hear me talk about relationships. I'm still talking about the friendship, but for me, being a connector of sorts, right? Connection in is a part of any type of relationship. So it's important that for the most part we work on our relationships overall, and learning how to navigate relationships in healthier ways, right? So one of the key things that I believe is that you need to know who you are before you become friends with someone. Who are you before friendship? That's a question that I think so many of us have to continue to ask ourselves, because what we know, and there is a growing theme of especially women getting into different relationships, losing themselves, or really never recognizing who they are and in the relationship prior to, and they begin to morph and they begin to do away with other different relationships due to like partnership and things of that nature. And then we'll get into some of this a little bit later, but knowing who you are before you get into these friendships or any relationships, I think is so important. And even if you're in these relationships, before you know who you are, I think it's important to take the time to understand exactly who you are. Like, what are your morals, your values, and your principles? What do you like? What don't you like? Do you like to do drugs? Do you not like drugs? Are you religious? Are you spiritual? Do you like outdoor things? Do you care for people who are loud and proud and extroverted? Are you introverted? Just all of the things. Who are you? How did I grow up? Boundaries that are being set in a lot of relationships too, they don't come from conflict. They come from identity. Knowing who you are before you befriend someone is going to be key to establishing boundaries and just a healthy foundation for your friendship. I really do believe that childhood is going to shape our connection style, because it shapes our experiences and how we go about things in life in our adulthood. Some of the things that I'm talking about is, hey, like understanding, are you an only child, or do you come from a household with a lot of siblings? Because those are stark differences from the jump in how you're going to operate in life. If you're going to be a lot more independent, if you're going to be trustworthy, in terms of people taking care of you. Are you going to be a people pleaser? Will you be looking to your siblings or other people to bring you certain types of feelings and joy because you're used to being in a house full of people? Are you going to be an attention seeker because you didn't get attention? These things matter. You got to know who you are. Also, are you a nurturer? Are you independent, or are you more independent? Are you sensitive, or are you emotionally void? Like, am I naturally a caretaker? Do I avoid taking care of people because in my growing up, I had to do so much of the work? Am I a middle child? Am I the first child? Am I the baby? All of these things matter. The little things that we should be asking ourselves because they help us determine what in our life is acceptable. You know what I mean? Do you are you adaptable and flexible, or are you more rooted and rigid because of things that happen in your childhood? All of these things, if you take and start listing out and understanding, hey, what I'm willing to accept in myself, and then hey, what am I willing to accept in terms of connection and relationship with other people? Am I willing to accept people in all of who they are? Or are there certain things that I absolutely can't because it triggers me because of things that I'm not yet healed from? These things matter. These are big reasons why a lot of friendships they dissolve, and people fall out, and they fight, and they do all these things because naturally sometimes in the evolution of things, there are going to be places and things that people just can't get over and around, and they might grow out of things, they might grow into things, and they might not grow at all. It's going to be a divide in it, and it's going to come to a head within the relationship or the friendship. So these are things that I think everyone should continue to do, or do before they get into relationship. If you don't know who you are, it is so easy to morph. It is so easy to become other people. It is so easy to begin to take on other people's personality, and take on other people's style, and take on the very things that you love and adore about people, because that is real. People can truly love and adore. Sometimes there is jealousy, sometimes there is ill intention behind things, but I think a lot of times the true place is that, hey, I admire something, you inspire something in me, and I want to be this. But where it goes crazy is that you can't be me. You can't be me. I can't be you, because as individuals, we are amazing by ourselves, and we have to tap into what makes us special so that we don't morph into people. Also, too, in partnership, a lot of people morph into each other, and it's like, oh, I can't do anything without my boo, and I don't know who I am outside of this partnership. But overall, what's important to also know is any relationship is a true commitment. You have to commit to be my friend. Overall, what's super important is knowing who you are as an individual before aligning lives with other people, so that you don't take on and you don't morph. Also, to understand that identity confusions is going to create relational confusion. It's going to impact all of our relationships. If we don't know who we are, we begin to do things that are not of us, that don't align with our core values and morals and principles, and that is a problem. Okay, that's a problem. That is a problem. So know who you are. Don't be confused about who you are, the good and the bad part. One of the most beautiful things that I think is a great takeaway from this topic, this first topic, is friendships do not change us. They reveal us. They reveal who we are. They truly reveal us. It's a mirror. Every relationship, it offers a mirror for us to see who we are. To see who we are. And that mirror ain't no joke, okay? I am so grateful to the friendships that I have had, even if me and the person, we don't speak right now. I honor and I am grateful for every single relationship, regardless of how it ended or if it's still going on, because they have shown me parts of me that I would have never tapped into willingly on my own. Okay. I would never. Okay. I'm talking about don't want to go there. But when you are doing the work on yourself, and you are doing that shadow work, and you in there in them trenches with yourself, you like square up, Toya. Okay. Square the up. Those friendships show you, willingly or unwillingly, and to all of the people that I have been connected with in life and I have done parts of my life with, I thank you, I honor you, and I still love you. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to have those mirrors because they've taught me so much. They've shown me my ways. They've shown me what am willing to tolerate, what I'm not willing to tolerate. They've helped me with boundaries, and they've helped me with understanding who I am and what I've contributed to these spaces as well. Just had to say that because our relationships, especially our friendships, especially those friendships between women, it can be the most beautiful thing in the world because we need each other, and we need friendship. We need friendship outside of other relationships and other family dynamics. We need each other to go through life with, to teach us, to reveal things in us. And I just believe it's the most beautiful mirror. But again, it takes a true commitment in so many ways to nurture and to grow and to love deeper within these friendships. But the key is knowing who we are. And if you feel like you still don't know who you are right now, it is not too late. Many of us are discovering who we are in our adulthood because we didn't get those opportunities when we were younger, because of whatever reasons. But it's not too late. And it's not too late to establish more healthier connections and relationships, friendships, and partnerships. But it starts with knowing who we are. So know who you are before you befriend. Who are you before the friendship, before the relationship, before the partnership? Get in there. Get in there. So the next topic, talking about friendship shifts and when the room changes. I think another point is an understanding having multiple friend groups and multiple needs individually, right? So for me, I've always been that girl from a little girl navigating having different friend groups. It's always been a thing for me. I always knew from a young age that, hey, it's different types of groups and different people that I connect to, and that they feel different parts of me. And I never have been apologetic about having these different groups. Now, the issue might have came when other people expected me to be a certain way, have this unspoken loyalty, and operate in the status quo like everybody else. Oh, it's just one group, one clique, and we just do. No, I've always wanted and had different groups, and they feel different parts of me. And I think it just feels it's my norm, right? Some of those ways don't align with everybody. Everybody can't take that. But I had these different groups because, hey, one group might have did some spontaneous wild stuff. One group might have been my dance friends. One group might have been my cheer girls. One group might have been we getting in the books together. One group might have been whatever hobby or interest that we had alike. We aligned there and we connected. This has been my life, and I know there are people that they're like, yeah, that was me too, and understanding it's like, and then this further connected us, but. So because I've always had these multiple friend groups, right? It's not because I lacked loyalty. It was because I knew I had needs that needed to be filled, and I'm going to get mine. That sounds weird, but I am. Different people for me feel different parts. They just feel different parts of me. I think sometimes being neutral in that way, or flexible in those ways, it's looked at as it's often misunderstood. Again, I've always had multiple friend groups. Now, this all aligns with what we're talking about in terms of friendship shifts, because the biggest theme here is not one person is meant to fill all parts of us. And we hear this oftentimes when we're talking about partnership, but friendship is a partnership. So many times you'll hear a woman say that the many parts of her life are oftentimes filled by her friends, because that is her true soulmate, because she understands me and shows up and feels me in ways that no other partner. that friend is going to feel those friends, or that friend is going to feel those parts. Again, we're not meant to get all of these things from one person. It presents a lot of different pressure for a friend. Okay. So that's also understanding your attachment styles in your friendships, right? Are you securely attached? Are you anxiously attached? Are you avoidant? And I definitely say go look. If you don't know about those attachment styles and understand, go look and research for yourself so you know, hey, where am I and where do I fall in these categories? So it also helps with understanding other people, because in these relationships, friendships, it's not just about you. It's not about you. It's also about your willingness and your effort in order to make these things stand the test of time, because they can. I think one of the things society has really pushed on us, that we're supposed to get all of these things from one person and have one partner, and that your intimacy and your romanticism comes from these partnerships from a man or a woman, whatever you prefer. But it doesn't. It comes from so many people. My friendships, okay, we are intimate, and we're intimate in ways that are non-sexual. Things get romanticized all the time, because when I tell you the girls come through for me, okay, the spaces where you get to be vulnerable in your friendships, and your friends know you, and they know what you need, and they know what you desire and what you deserve, right? They begin to fill those voids, and they begin to give freely, and they begin to be what exactly it is that you need. I know there have been times where there are things that I have wanted and asked for, and me let me tell you something. It's like, the Duran, when he talking about I'm that nigga and that bitch, that's how I feel. That's how we feel in our relationship sometimes, because it's like you can say something that you need today, and tomorrow I'm going to the store and leaving it on your front lawn or something like that, or it's dropped off just for you, and it's like, damn. That's how you know if they wanted to, they would. Okay, but anyways, let me get back. Expecting one friend to be everything definitely does create unnecessary pressure and resentment. Okay, people will run from certain things. And also too, community, it's gonna work best when it's distributed evenly. When we're talking about friendship shifting, these are some of the times when we're speaking about, hey, understanding that people have different needs that need to be filled. You can't do it all. You can't be it all. That one person can't be it all for you. Understanding that is important, because it will cause shifts in your relationship. And someone is feeling a lot of pressure to act right and be a certain way and do these things within the friendship. Some people, it might be too much for them. And depending on what else they have going on in their lives, they might not even have the capacity to even take that on and to navigate it in healthy ways. Sometimes people will be like, and I'm out because it's too much. But there's also dynamics where people in certain relationships, they will be okay with certain things, and they are more encouraged and motivated to work through things in a partnership with a man or a woman than they do with their friend. And it's like, oh, this turned me off, so I'm gone. And like, oh, I'm done with the friendship. When that is the key opportunity, if you love this person, because love is, we know it is an action word, okay? You put in work. There has to be effort to show love. I think it's important to understand what's the value of friendship is so important. Friendships they're healing. They can be so positive, they can be life changing, they can be so filled with love, but they do require, and they take work, and they require understanding outside of ourselves. It requires acceptance, but it requires, again, so much love. as society is pushing these things on us, and it's been shoved down our throat to be individuals and push away from community, it's like we have to rewire and undo these things and understand the need for community and the need for friendships, especially amongst women and men. Men need we need those spaces to just be with our friends, to be loved and love on our friends. Okay, so with having multiple friend groups and needs, which everybody has needs. Everybody has needs. So hopefully this is sparking people that say, hey, I can only deal with one person or whatever, to say, hey, it is okay to open yourself and have associates and have friends that you do only certain things with, and then have a group, maybe your close friend or friends, that that have a different level of access to you, because that's really key. The accessibility is where the friendship dynamics shift, and the friendships look different. But I would say personally, in navigating having multiple relationships and groups of friends, I think one of the key learnings for me has been to be open and honest in communication. Now, I'm not saying that everything has to be discussed in things, but I think sometimes for me, I didn't always have the words. So I would just move and do things based upon my feelings and then communicate later on, or maybe not communicate at all. And I could see now how sometimes, because women can be catty, women can be possessive, it can be a thing. So understanding that and navigating the feelings of others and acknowledging the feelings, I think it's important, sure, to communicate what communicate necessary things, understand, so people know where you are. And people understand exactly what you have going on. Sometimes I was moving based just upon me and not giving a fuck about nothing but fulfilling my needs. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes in me moving in those ways, I can see how it impacted other people in different groups and dynamics. But I think that that's going to be important across the board in any friendship or relationship, just communicating and learning to communicate in the different ways that people need you to communicate, because we all have our own styles and ways that we communicate. But I think understanding and learning that people need different things in your friendship groups in order to be good within themselves. You know what I mean? So honoring that and seeing that in people, in navigating that space. Also remaining firm in what I needed and in what I needed to do, and not being, not feeling away because I am getting those needs met. Because I think it's important for us, especially as women, to do that for ourselves in every dynamic with our kids, with our spouses, wherever we are. It's important for us to have those individual needs met as well. Topic number 3, very important. Adult friends and friendships require more. Period. Let that sink in. Adult friendships dynamics require more from you. If you are not willing and committed to doing more, your friendships are not going to last. They're just not. This is just what we know to be true, especially as adults. And we've seen it in different ways through our parents, through our aunts and uncles, through our friends, now through ourselves. They require more. Okay. What do I mean by that? So I jotted a few things down. So adult friendships require intention. They require communication. They require grace. They require effort. Lots of effort. They require confrontation, not to be confused with conflict, okay? But it requires confrontation of different things, okay? Some of the dynamics and some dynamic changes that will occur that happen just naturally within life, things like distance and relocation, things like starting a family, life events like marriage, kids, careers, healing journeys, okay? grief, loss. These are all huge dynamic shifts that are going to happen within relationships, and they will impact the way people show up, the way people speak, the way people act, the way people are just being. They're going to impact it all. And it's going to be up to us to navigate them in a way where there's more understanding the things that I mentioned, grace, effort. You're going to have to rid yourself of ego in order to operate within these dynamic shifts and relationship shifts, because they're going to happen. This is going to happen with men and women, and you're going to have to adjust the way that you are friending. It's very important. You're gonna have to be a willing participant to do these things, and you have to have a level of understanding and acceptance on both ends of the dynamic shift. Just because you are married or you have kids, you also have to have understanding for people who are single and without kids and what they need, because a lot of times we're seeing that there is such a huge need. Well, there's such a huge conversation going on regarding these shifts and how people show up and their expectations of others within these shifts. But it's one sided sometimes. So I was saying to honor both sides, the people with the kids, the people without the kids, and understanding and seeing each other. But again, a lot of communication and the willingness has to be there. It cannot just be, oh, this is where I am. If you don't understand, the friendship is just over. No. No, that's not true love, because love is looking at this person and understanding them and trying to navigate a new space so that both people feel seen, feel heard, and they feel just in the space. Okay? I hope that makes sense. But understanding and knowing, like, hey, what sustained us in high school and college, that shit is not going to work in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. It ain't going to work. We have to be willing to change in ourselves so that we can nurture these relationships, and we can nurture our friendships. These are our safe spaces, are they're supposed to be our safe spaces, you know what I mean? um Also, understanding, earlier I mentioned about ego. Understand that effort is not desperation. It's actually showing that you care. It's removing the ego that is telling you that, oh, I don't have to do all that to be nobody friend. Like, I don't have to go beyond, and I don't have to. Yes, you do actually. You actually do have to do these things. You have to, if you want friendship, you do have to put your stuff aside. Put your shit aside and work through so that you can get to a common ground. You actually have to be vulnerable. You actually have to be transparent. You actually have to be forgiving. Okay? You have to be forgiving. You actually have to be kind. You actually have to be patient. All of these things that you do so willingly in these partnerships, they are required right with your friends. And they actually probably deserve a lot more than we might be willing to give. But this is what the sacrifice is in order to be a friend. I know you hear right now the conversation is about, when to be a good friend, you are going to be inconvenienced. And that is okay. Because I'm inconvenienced a lot in my life, okay? Just because. But these are some of the things that you have to be willing to do in order to be a participant in community, and be a member in community, and be a villager, okay? And be a good friend. So yes, adult relationships require more when there are a lot more dynamic and life shifts happening. All right. Quick moment for the woman who's juggling a whole life: careers, dreams, healing, responsibilities, and still trying to show up for herself. I created something for you. It's an ebook called The Empowered Morning: Daily Routines for Women Who Do It All. It's a guide that I wish I had when my days felt so rushed, reactive, and disconnected from who I said that I wanted to be. Inside the ebook, I break down the small habits and intentional shifts that help you start your day with more clarity, softness, and direction. No perfection needed. Just grounded habits that actually fit your real life. Okay? If you're ready for mornings that feel aligned, supported, and rooted in you, grab your copy today. The link will be in the show notes because you deserve mornings that pour back into you. And this is where it begins. Okay, here's the big one. This the biggest. We about to do our big one talking about this. Okay, so next topic in friendship shifts, right? When the room changes, when that friend gets engaged or she gets married or he has kids or she has kids, that the room is shifting. The friendship will change, y'all, okay? It's going to change. It's going to be a lot of different changes. So we're going to talk about here romantic relationships in friendships, right? Because I think this is one of the biggest shifts that you will experience within your friendships, especially as a woman. A big topic is right that's going on right now, and we have to touch on it, is the growing rate in which we women are decentering these ideals around relationships and decentering men in those romantic partnerships in our lives. When we begin to decenter those romantic relationships in the way that it's been pushed on us and the propaganda that's been fed, it does not mean anti-love. It does not mean that I still don't desire love from a man or a woman. But it truly is about decentering patriarchy. It's about decentering these ideals around romantic relationships and the big push for individualism. Individualism is it's it can be a great thing, but really just decentering these thoughts about around being male focused and male centered in our life, entire life as women, revolving around this ideal of, oh, I got to get a man, he's going to be my end all, and that is just that, and I'm going to live happily ever after and be so happy. I think many of us are realizing that this idea does not align with us and naturally who we are, and what we desire. And I think that's a big start, just decentering these ideals and beliefs. It's like Disney ruined us. When you really think about it, the false narratives that it pushed on us. It's like, oh, your Prince Charming is going to come and rescue you and do it in this big romantic way, and you're going to go off and live happily ever after. And that's just not the case, because many of the privileges that these princesses have, many of us don't have. Many of us don't look like that. So that's not going to be the outcome. And this whole thing that men will be a man will be the person to come and save us from everything, right? Because the men is like, it's like the man is the top tier thing, right? It's like nothing goes beyond the man, and it's done some damage on us because it has pushed us to do some strange things for a piece of change. Okay, it has pushed us to do all these things to get to this space of getting this man and being married and having these kids, and it's like, fuck all the stuff that happens in between, and the things you experience, and the false realities and what's really real. We're just gonna push this narrative. The Disney narratives, they create hierarchy. What I know is friendships and friends matter before, during, or after you get into a partnership with a man or a woman. So much of what we see, and I'm sorry, mind you, if you are a man listening to this, a lot of these themes and the things that I discuss are going to be geared towards women. Okay. But it does not mean that it does not equate to you. Okay, because you need a group of boys too. You need to be your own person, and you need to do your own thing, and hopefully you got a good group of men around you to hold you accountable and all these things, but we'll get into that another time. Anyway, so back to my girls. So um friends matter. It is so, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's unfair that so many women get into these relationships and you literally put your friend to the side, or you don't nurture that relationship as much as you nurture your partnership. Your friends matter when you are happy in your partnership. They matter when you might not be in that partnership anymore, when your relationship dynamics change. They matter. There should be no way that even in your romantic partnerships that you begin to let the other relationship with your friend continues to just decrease in value. I know when I was in relationships throughout my life, it was no way around me not being with my friends. It never went through my mind. Like, all the relationships that I've been in, they knew, my partners knew, like, I love my friends. I love them, and when you are gone, they will still be here, and while you're here, they're gonna still be here. I need time with just them. I would love if we can have time together, and we'll have our time together too. But my friends are here to stay. It was never a them or you. It never was that. And women who it's women who choose to operate in those ways, they don't offer safety in these friendships and relationships. They make a choice, and they make clear choices. And for me, this is just me personally speaking, it's not I'm not going to have a close relationship with those women. No matter how hard you might attempt and try, there's just not, for me where I am, it's not space for that. It's not space for no accountability when it comes to those things. These things, they can be changed, but it has to be a willingness. It has to be an acceptance. You have to be able to see yourself or hear when your friend is telling you, like, hey, you doing this for this person, but over here you lacking. It's like the tolerant. I don't have the patience for that or the tolerance for it. And again, it's definitely one of those topics and shifts that it's an ongoing debate, and it's like, it is what it is. But there is a lot behind those changes. A lot of women need to decenter men and this logic so that they can have excuse me, my throat, so that they can have healthier friendships and relationships with the women in their life. That is not your end all. And a lot of times people go running back to those spaces they deem safe and fun and loving when the partnership doesn't work out. But it's like, you made a clear choice in this, and it's like, a lot of times those spaces are not going to welcome you back. So tread lightly, understand, and know this. And losing yourself in those partnerships, it harms all of your relationships, not just with your friends, with your family as well. You'll see how the room begins to shift. Okay, you're adjusting, and they're adjusting to you. And that's going to look like, hey, sometimes that's going to look like now your access level to people are different. Now the patience and the tolerance that they have for you, it's not there anymore. Or some people will just cut you off because this is how they protect themselves. It's going to disrupt and harm all of your relationships. So it's very important, going back, to not morph and to not make just one person your be all, because you need all of it. You need all of it. And you got to learn the balance, just like we're trying to learn the balance in all things. And a lot of times, we never will get to a place of just being fully balanced, if we want to be clear. But balance is a skill, and it's something you have to practice and work at. It's not just instinctual. You know what I mean? It's something you have to work at. Relationships require work. Love. If you're saying that you want love, and you this is something that you understand, this concept of love, it takes work. It takes work, and it means that you can come a little closer for this. When you love somebody, it's a willingness to know that, hey, there are going to be times where this person does hurt me, and that I will be okay from the hurt. I can bounce back. I can forgive, and I can be okay after being hurt. It is not the end of the world. But in all things, when you are loving and being loved, you will be hurt. That's a hard thing I had to learn and understand. It's like, I don't like it. I don't want to feel it. I can't do it. But you have to deal in realism. Disney will have you up. It had me up, y'all. Had me all messed up because you really believe in these things and think like, oh, this is possible for me. Not to say certain things aren't, but you got to be real about it. You will be hurt in love. You will be hurt in friendship, in all different relationships, but there has to be a willingness to forgive and to love despite. Okay? And yeah, learning the balance. You can have both. And I think you should, because we've seen the results of someone who is so far off on the end and only about my man, my man, my man, forget my friends, my friends, my friends. And we see what that turns into. And it's not, and it also harms the partnership, because a lot of times it's too much. Your partner cannot be your end all. They don't have everything that you need. You need things outside of each other so that you can come back a little bit more whole, and you ain't annoying, and you ain't nagging, and you ain't doing all these things to your partner to push them further away from you. Okay? Love should not erase community. Your community is needed. Your friends are not just your emergency contacts either. They need to be nurtured and loved and checked on and shown up for as well. Not just when some bad shit happened to you. And also, just because you get to experience, because guess what? This is what it's all about. Us experiencing people, not possessing them, not obsessing over them. That's in friendship as well. Getting to experience people. And so if you're experiencing someone in partnership in that way, that is awesome. And I think we all need that too, right? And as friends, you understand that. But just because you get that doesn't mean that you get to leave your friendships. It doesn't mean that you get to disappear within your friendships. What I've noticed, that especially in the beginning phases, oh my gosh, it feels so good. You are so in love. You are so in like, or whatever it is. And it is so new. You want to be around this person. You want to be in their skin. You want to do all these things. And then you forget your other responsibilities and obligations. Okay, your other responsibilities in your friendships and your family, other relationship dynamics, they tend to, it's like, oh, I only can do things with this person now. No. While it feels so good, you must also be grounded in, hey, love of all things, and not leaving spaces because you have this new space that feels different. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing wrong with that. But remember, you shouldn't just be disappearing just because of that. So I know we can go all day with these relationships and the friendships and those dynamics. The room changes in this way, and the friendship does shift because of these dynamic shifts. It's loud. It's loud. This is not something that is just subtle. This shit gonna hit. It's gonna hit, and it's gonna impact all parties combined. Okay? And I know many of us may have experienced this, or might be experiencing this. And this is no space for judgment. This is a space for understanding, acceptance, and understanding fully the things that you're able to tolerate, and ways that we can navigate this in a way that promotes healthiness. Because I want that badly for everybody. I want this badly for everyone. I hope and pray for you to be in spaces and with people who are willing to change in the sake and name of love, because that's what it's really all about. But these things are very real. They happen. And they happen a lot with women, especially also too, just women having kids. That is a big shift in a woman's life. It's a big shift. They go through a lot within that first year, depending on what else they take on in a relationship. Your friendship will change. And I think so much understanding has to be placed there as well. I have been blessed to have some examples that I went through myself. I don't have any kids, and a lot of times, either I'm single a lot while my friends might be in relationships. I know I got commitment. I got some commitment things going on, but so I experienced twice my friends that I felt very close to getting ready to embark on a new hood, motherhood. And with one of my first friends, I was a lot younger. I didn't have the words. I just knew I felt this thing in my heart, and I knew things would change. And I just felt like I was losing my friend, and I didn't want to lose my friend. And ultimately, I didn't share this with her. I just kind of kept it in, and I processed my feelings internally. But what I did experience was there was a shift. It did change. And I did lose my friend in a way because she became a whole different person. And there was more distance and just all types of things. She was in a relationship and things of that nature. But I remember talking to her later on in life, and finally we got a space where I could share and told her how I felt. And it hurt me so bad. But I wish I would have had the guts to share more and tell her what I needed during her transition as well. And oftentimes the person outside of motherhood is like, you got to understand more. I'm so grateful we shared a moment, and it was some tears there, but I affirmed her. I was so proud of her in the journey, and I couldn't imagine going through that and then trying to honor close relationships when we were young as well. We didn't know and understand how to navigate these things. I knew how I felt. I don't even know what everything she felt, but I had another example where I understood it a little bit more, and it made me honor her even more. But thank God, we were able to nurture, but we had a conversation, and it was just beautiful. She understood me. I understood her, but it was a thing. Shout out to you. I love you, sister. And I'm so grateful that we were able to navigate that space. Even years later. And then I had another friend, but yeah, my best friend, she was getting ready to have her first child, and she knew about how I felt about my other friend. And I'm like, oh, I don't want it to happen to us and you, and I just love you. And I was so sad. I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen again. My brain taking me back to that familiar place. And I was able to communicate it this time, be vulnerable, get out of my ego, and be like, hey, I don't want to lose my friend. I love her. And she reassured me in that, and she understood. And she created a space for me to be able to be honest, and then also for her to share how she felt. Yeah. Created a space. She made me feel loved in this, not judged. We didn't judge each other, but it was then where I realized the importance of being forward in the communication and speaking to the things that I was feeling and understanding. So we had created more understanding, which deepened our bond. So I bring those, and I love you so much. Thank you for validating my feelings in that moment, and understanding and seeing me, but also recognizing and seeing yourself. And I was able to see them too, but I learned from situation to situation. I'm grateful that both relationships have been sustained, but it really does take work. It really does take effort and so much understanding. So I just wanted to give those examples, because I know with work on both ends and love and understanding, and that the friendships can work, and they do work. And again, they take more. It just takes more, and you have to be willing to give more. In going with the topic of today, the friendship shifts, when that room changes, the emotional impact is so damn real. It is so real, y'all. So I don't even know where to start. And a lot of people sent in questions and thoughts about this manner, the hurt that you feel from losing a friendship, the betrayal that you feel, there is very quiet and loud grief when friendships shift, and you're gonna feel it all. I think we're learning to give more voice to these things, because it's like we didn't sometimes. I know my parent didn't talk about these things per se. You could watch certain things, but it is hurt when those friendships end, when they shift, when there's a knowing that things are never going to be like they were. It is a hurt that you don't want to feel. It's so much to grieve a friendship loss. It's tough. It's tough. I've been through several, and it doesn't ever get easier. It doesn't ever get easier. Yes, heartbreak hurts. But when you lose your friend, like, especially if it was like your close friend, it's like the end of the world. It's like a hurt that nobody can save you from. And a lot of times with these friendships, you have to go on, and you will see them in some sort of way. You will hear about them again. You will go through life knowing that this person is, most of the time, is going to be still alive, and we're just not in relationship anymore. So what do you do? How do you deal? I know a lot of you are going through that right now. A lot of you have gone through that, and a lot of us still will go through this in life, because it is inevitable. So, again, losing that shared history, all of the time that you spent, the things that you've gone through, experiences, the talks, the cries, it leaves you feeling misunderstood, sometimes on both ends. Feeling misunderstood on both ends. You get feelings of replacement, seeing somebody get into another friendship and have a new best friend, or you losing a group of friends and seeing them still be together. Those type of things. It's hurt. You might be feeling betrayed. They might have feeling invisible. Maybe you feel hella invisible now that the room has shifted so loudly, and that you feel invisible in this person's life when you were you were one of the main characters. Okay? I've grieved friendships that no one saw, that no one knew was even ending. To do it quietly, to do it, by myself, to endure all of that it can be so heavy. While also loving these people and loving this person so much, never wanting anything bad to happen to this person, despite us not being able to get back on the same page. And I know that's how I feel. Now, some people, there might be some shit that happened, and you want their head. Okay, like, I don't know. But there still is a level of that hurt, and the anger comes from the hurt, and that hurt is because you love them. Period. It is still love. It is still love. And I think that's what we really have to understand. We really have to understand that it's all because I love you. It is all because I loved you. Sometimes nothing happens and everything changes. Literally, you feel it, you own it, you know it, and then it's that process of accepting it and then letting it be, letting it go. It's tough. It's tough. The loss is so real, even if it's quiet. And when it's loud, it's like, damn. It's like, damn. It's like you have no choice but to feel it. I know that friendship dynamics within like friend groups is a challenging thing as well. Now coming into friendships, if I do go into friendship groups, it's now more than ever, it's really important, which I typically am going to do. I am not coming to be a friend to the dynamic that was already there. I'm coming to be friends with the individuals within that dynamic. And I think that's very important too. when coming in, if you're coming into friendship groups and dynamics, to get to know people for yourselves, so that people can also see you as an individual, and an individual, and understand that, yes, I might be connected and close to this person, but I am still my own entity. I am still who I am, and I think alone. I stand alone, and I stand on my own shit. You know what I'm saying? I was so blessed to have different in different seasons and phases of my life, to have, of course, constant friends, consistent friends, groups of friends. One of those groups of friends is a friend group that I met, that I had since high school, which it grew and evolved in so many ways, and we learned so much. And then another group was a group that I had, a group that I had in, well, I had several groups coming out of high school, and I was close in different groups. But I also had another group in college, and it was so many diverse human beings, and it was so fun, and it was so loving, and it was so loud, and it was so wild, and it was so intimate, and it was so fulfilling. And they carried me through some really tough seasons, especially in college. And I'm so grateful for that group dynamic. And as we begin to have dynamic shifts in our lives, our relationships shifted. And, some relationships were, it created distance, and then we didn't, we might not speak to each other, and then some we still do. It's all different. But when you think back on it, there's so much you can learn from it. But my truth in those relationships, it was so genuine, and it was so pure. And when those changes started to happen, I wish that we did have more communication and understanding in who we were and who we were growing to be. You know what I mean? And so that more love and understanding. We had tough relationships. I mean, we had tough talks, and we had to confront things, and we had to navigate and work through things. And ultimately, what it was what it was. But I'm just so grateful for all of those women. I'm grateful for the love. I'm grateful for the challenges. I'm grateful for the accountability. I'm grateful for the times and the memories that we had. But the grieving of those friendships, it was tough, because I was going through awakenings and different things in my life. But it was tough to navigate a life, a new life and a new space without some of these women, and understanding, I still love the fuck out of them, and would still, like, if they needed me in any capacity, I would still show up in ways. I would, because it's love there. And I feel like that about a lot of people. But again, grateful for it all. I love them all still. But it's so much that I learned. But that grief was real. The grief was real. I had to understand and really, really know who I was in it, get my lessons, but also understand how I showed up and who I was in it, and just grieving what I knew. I think, to wrap up the grief section, because I don't want to go so deep, because there's so much that can be uncovered. But I would definitely say that at the end of every relationship, especially our friendships, I think it should be a time of reflection, a time of understanding, so that, we don't go into our next connection and relationship holding the same things and doing the same things. um I think that's important with any relationship ending. I'm an advocate for us, that self-reflection, asking the questions, understanding me in it, and not and getting out of the space of blaming, so that you can really, really see what it is. Also honoring what you got from it, and the blessings and the lessons and whatever it is. Or if nothing, traumatic happened, just seeing what it was. You know what I mean? I think taking that time is super, 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 super. It's just super important. And I wish, with the grief part, that we also do the work. The work has to continue afterwards, so that we can be better in our next connection, in our next friendship, in our next partnership. Yeah. But that shit hurt. It hurts. All right, y'all. So we have we're gonna do a segment today called Voices from the Room. Okay, so since we're talking about when the room changes, we have some voices from within the room that shared some reflections, and we're gonna get into it on today's podcast. And it's all about when the friendships shift, okay? And the people got some things, okay? So I asked my community about friendship shifts. And here's what everybody shared about. So, um, distance, grieving years invested, effort imbalances, being the strong friend. Okay. These are some of the topics that came up. And a lot of this was around grieving the loss of shared history or long friendships, or how you bounce back from things like betrayal. And you know, this is our shared space, and I want to acknowledge these people. Thank you for your bravery for sending these things in. I do see you and I hear you, and we're going to tackle these things. So one of the voices in the room spoke about it being okay to outgrow friends and friendships. This is so very true. And this it all aligns with everything that we discussed today. When these things shift, everybody, it's felt from pretty much everyone when those things begin to shift, and when there's changes that are too much for us to come to a place of understanding or to work through, right? And I think as we continue to grow and evolve, to keep in mind that yes, it is okay to outgrow people in general. And I think there also has to be a sensitivity to how these things are discussed and touched on, because sometimes in making it okay to evolve and grow, because that is what we should want for everyone in our life. I think sometimes it could be coming from a place of ego where it's like, I can grow, and I'm and I'm leaving you behind. You are not on my level, and we don't. It's like, let's keep it P. If you are outgrowing and you see that things that you are about and that you do are different from a friend, and that you guys are just in two different places, it's okay to let that be. It's okay to acknowledge it. And I mean this with so much love, just making sure that it is still coming from a place of love and respect for people, and being a human, period. Not making it a I'm better than you, or you're not on my level anymore in any of those ways, or I'm too good for this or too good for that. I think if we keep it based upon like, hey, I'm changing, I have changed, these are things that I value now, and that we just don't align in those ways anymore. And it's okay for you to do your thing, and it's okay for me to do mine. I just might not, it just might not be my cup of tea anymore. And for you, it might be, and vice versa. But yes, it absolutely is okay for us to outgrow things and people. It happens all the time. But I think just making sure that it is coming from a genuine place, and that we're not doing things in spite of. But yes, cheers to your growth, cheers to your happiness and your continued evolution. Clock that. Now clock that. Another voice from the room spoke about how to pretty much bounce back after feeling betrayed or experiencing betrayal. This one is it's a little tricky. But again, understood, and I hear exactly where you're coming from, because this is not something that is just so easy to navigate. And I think if we keep it 100, and we literally just talk about the feeling of betrayal, and that the impact alone, and how that is such a blow, especially from somebody you love and care about. It is, oh, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And I'm gonna just personally say, with betrayal, again, it goes down to what you are willing to tolerate and deal with. Now, depending on what the betrayal was, it has to align with the person. It has to align with the person, right? So if you feel like within your relationship with this person that it is worth you dealing with those feelings, addressing it, letting it process, and then get into a place of greater understanding, letting love lead and guide you, and then get into a place of ultimate forgiveness, because that's what it takes a lot of. With all relationships, we will experience betrayal in some form of fashion. Again, it's the willingness in where you see yourself, in where you desire to be, especially within yourself and with these people. And if you're willing to put that effort in and you are committed to loving this person, then there is space for you to move past the betrayal. Yes, it's going to take time because betrayal oftentimes aligns with trust. And trust is a big thing for all of us. But I'm a living witness that it can happen. And I've been the person who felt betrayed and was able to navigate the waters and come back stronger. And I've been the person who somebody felt betrayed by. And in both cases, again, it goes back to what I was saying. The effort has to be there. But you can bounce back and you can come back stronger than ever. And one of the things that you must first do is recognize the betrayal, recognize the hurt, understand it, but don't stay in that space, because then you become a victim to it. And that creates other things, and it creates other stories and narratives and things of that nature. But you have the power. You have the power, especially if you want to love and be loved. These are the things that it takes, but you absolutely can bounce back. And it absolutely is such a hard space to navigate, but you can do it. And I wish you well in that space. Okay, another voice in the rooms wanted to speak about how friendships change with life events, how friendships change with life events, with time, with distance, and also factoring in personality traits. And I think we touched on a few of these things throughout the podcast for today. But this is just inevitable. It's inevitable. We will experience significant shifts when all of these things are factored in, and it really is. It just going. It's you're gonna hear me talk about this all the time. It's gonna boil down to the things you are willing to place, the places you're willing to place your effort in, the understanding, and then understanding sometimes things just don't work out anymore. Those personality traits, that is a strong point, because as we continue to grow and evolve, there are certain personality traits that we just might not be able to tolerate. There might be seasons in our life that we don't have it. We might be experiencing health things. We might be experiencing relational changes with our partners, motherhood, grief, loss, just all those things. And the space that we once had for certain personality traits or certain characteristic traits that you have, we might not be able to tolerate it anymore. People might not be able to have that. They don't have the space. What's really important is when you're navigating these friendships, to understand that everybody has to take up space. And sometimes when it is too much space being taken up, or it's one-sided and it's not being reciprocated, things will shift, and it's going to end in resentment and change. But it's just really important to understand that these things will occur, and that it's no right or wrong in it, but it's a lot of understanding that has to come out of these life changes. Realization of it all is really, really understanding that yes, there will be changes. Yes, it's going to impact us in different ways, but we can navigate the waters. We can have the conversations. I think if we took a little bit more time, just all of us, in recognizing people outside of ourselves. As we know, the world does not just revolve around us, right? So looking outside of ourselves to just to see other people, understand other people will definitely help navigate all of those shifts. And you have to know and be willing for yourself to weather the storm, to fight for fight for what you love, and not fight in a way that is has a negative connotation, but really go after what it is that you want. So if it is a friendship that you want and you value and you hold near and dear, there are ways to navigate those changes, but both people have to be acknowledged, they have to be seen. And the way that you love one another, it will adjust, it will adjust. And that's the beauty of love and being loved. So happy navigating. Another voice from the room stated very clearly, sometimes it ain't personal, sometimes it ain't personal. Life and friendships evolve, and that's tea, that's the truth. A lot of times it's not personal, and sometimes it is personal. uh, but I think that goes back to knowing who you are. Sometimes people they do take a lot of things personally, and as adults, many people are now learning how to not take things so personally, especially the things that are close and that they hold near and dear. But learning that, but on the flip side, also understanding that sometimes it is personal, because hell, I'm tied in with you. Like, you my soulmate. You are my person. So I'm going to take it personally when things start to shift and these things start to change, especially when I think when there's, sometimes a lack of communication, a lack of understanding. But I think the big thing is a lack of communication a lot of times. Sometimes you don't have the words. Sometimes you don't know the words. Sometimes it's a season change and you in it and you don't even know. And sometimes the other person can't recognize it, but it's levels to things. So, I feel where you're coming from, and I understand exactly what you mean. But I think a good takeaway is that if everybody can uh, begin to think outside of their own perspectives and begin to see people outside of themselves, it would help in the a lot of this. It would help us to not bump heads as much and to see each other and understand each other a little bit more in all of this. So yeah. Okay, beautiful people. So we've come to my least favorite part of the podcast, and that is the end. We've made it to the end, but man, did we have some dynamic conversation, some healing conversation, some truth, some honesty, some reflection, and some vulnerability and transparency from the community. Thank you so much. This it feels so good, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. But just some takeaways for the end of the episode, because it's all about seeing you and seeing one another. But if your friendships are shifting, it doesn't mean that you are broken. Just know that this means that there is opportunity for growth and positive change, and also positive outcomes, regardless of what it looks like. Love does not disappear. It will change forms, but it does not disappear. It never does. It never does. Understand that growth requires so much honesty, and that's the beauty is in the honesty, even if it stings. Growth requires it. Understand that distance isn't always rejection. There's usually 99% something deeper there that needs to be understood, but it doesn't mean rejection. And this is something I've had to navigate and learn over time, because of some wounds that I am working to heal. But it doesn't always mean rejection, even when your brain pushes you to think in those familiar ways. Dig a little deeper. That's what I would say. You are allowed to evolve. Don't ever let anyone make you feel away for evolving. and becoming even more. Some people only belong to chapters, not the whole book. We are blessed to experience people, and a lot of times they only belong in a particular spot within your book, in a particular chapter. And when that chapter is over, it's over. We have to accept that. I think what's the most important thing as we navigate these friendship shifts and dynamics and in all of our relationships, we should have more gratitude than resentment. It is so easy to tap into the lack and the negativity and the resentment of it all. But we need to find space to be grateful despite. Be grateful that we had the experience. Grateful that we experience love in these forms. Grateful for the memories and the times. But gratitude over the resentment. Lastly, you're allowed to choose yourself in all things. And I think that we can all benefit from choosing ourselves a little bit more. Just a little bit more. But you are allowed to do so. And hopefully you have safe spaces to do that, especially amongst your friends. You can always love who you were in my life without forcing who you are now. And that's a bar. And if the room is changing around you, just know it's only because you are changing too. And I see you. Like always, before we go, if no one has told you today, I see you. And damn, it's beautiful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for allowing yourself to be seen. See you next week, guys. Love y'all. Bye.